Come on, welcome back to Don't Take the Box. Today we have for you, finally, December's Scrawlrbox. And I have one thing to warn you about, because I got an email about it, that we would not get a candy in this box. Of course, I'm very disappointed, but well, we're going to open it nonetheless, so let's get to it. As always, I'm giving you the first view. Pink and colorful. Alright, so first of all we see this month's magazine, which always lists the supply, so we're not going to look at it just yet. We get this month's artwork, which is very expressive. And it is by the featured artist Marta Betlej from Poland, apparently. We get a watercolor paper pad. Let's get this open. Ideal for watercolor pencils. Okay, so we might get watercolor pencils in this package. It's 12 sheets, 300 GSM, pencil, brush, A5 size, superior smooth surface, perfect for pencils. But in a weight that also holds water. It is very, very smooth though. The smoothest watercolor paper that I've ever had. So also really lovely gorilla on the outside. Quite like that. But now on to the main event. The real deal. What is inside this little package? In just 2 seconds you'll see. Color indeed. First of all, the sticker. Also rather, I don't know, is this abstract or is this, oh, it's an eye. If you look at it this way, you can see it's an eye. Sorry. Supplies list, which we don't need anymore. We get a Gold Faber-Castell 6B. It's one of those brands and lines of brands that features regularly in subscription box, because I'm very sure that I've had one of these before, but I'm not sure if it was a 6B. But anyway, they're very good pencils, so I'm quite happy. We get, well, art crayons in 3 colors, a sort of purple, does it list the color? Plum, a sort of reddish pink, which is pomegranate, and a yellow, which is sun yellow, sunshine yellow. All right, I will swatch that later. And then we get a brush, a Royal and is a Royal and Langnickel. Wait, let's check. It is a Royal and Langnickel Taclon brush in a size 6, which is quite versatile, and so very happy with that. And lastly, we get a Durant kneaded eraser. That's quite good. You can always use an extra kneaded eraser. And it seems like it comes in its own package, which is also quite good. Although I do hope it's a package that can be refolded or resealable, because this sort of erasers often comes in a plastic sheet, but by the time you get the eraser out, the plastic is completely gone, and then you can't really put away the eraser. Although I think for a kneaded eraser that's actually quite necessary, because it gathers dust and pet hair like nothing else. And since I have 2 cats running around in my office, it's actually quite handy for me to be able to put away the kneaded eraser. Oof. It's quite stiff, but maybe it's just because it's cold here. Yeah. Anyway, it does look like we can reuse the paper it comes in, because the paper inside is coated like with a plasticky thing, which is very good because that means the kneaded eraser won't stick to it, so it's always ready to use. Anyway, enough talking, let's get swatching. Let's see how dark the 6B will be. Not extremely dark, but well, I don't know if you see it, but I can feel it, that it is a very, very soft and smooth pencil, which obviously I really, really like. You get a fine gradient with little effort. I'm going to make an extra gradient so we can test our kneaded eraser. It does not as much lift the graphite, but it does, when I say lift, I mean it does not completely remove the graphite, but obviously it softens and lightens it. So it's not what I would use an eraser for, per se, but I could think of a use for it if I know that this is the result. Although it's kind of weird to speak of an eraser if it doesn't really completely erases your graphite. So far, mixed reviews. Now, removing all this unnecessary plastic. It says crayon, so I'm going to presume this is a sort of waxed based and water soluble, because we did get a brush. Don't know why we would get a brush if it wasn't water soluble, because the brush doesn't look like it's just going to smooth or blend. So, but anyway, I'm quite curious as to what texture this is going to. Okay, quite firm. It does twist, so it is apparently intended sort of like a lipstick thingy. And if I have to be completely honest, that's almost also the texture that we got here. Very, very buttery and creamy. But of course, this is not the most important thing for me. I really, really, really like the color. Or colors, I should say. The pomegranate is almost like magenta. The plum is very, very blue purple, which I really like. And whoa, look at how bright this sunshine yellow is. And also very, very, very smooth, I must say. So far, enthusiastic and excited. But now, let's see if we can also mix them, or rather blend them out with water. I'll try the yellow first, because this is usually the lightest color, and as you can see, that works perfectly. I'll just start mixing in maybe the last half centimeter of my markings, and look at what a lovely, lovely gradient we get. And I must say the brush is very good too. It's a synthetic one, but I have no issues picking up water and washing it out, which is, I mean, that no, picking up water and washing out pigment is the bare minimum. But maybe I can do a little test here if I can pick up. Let's see. If I can pick up some of this pigment. How fine does this brush go? And does it it does deliver smooth broader strokes, although I must say apparently the pigment is not that strong, because already you can see here that it's, even though I try to pick up as much as possible, you can see that it is a lot paler than when directly applied. And also, now that these are dry or drier, you can see that you can't completely erase the marks that you made when you originally put the crayon to paper. So that's something to bear in mind when trying to work with this. Of course, I do not know whether this is intended as such. Do the crayons say? They do say watercolor crayon, so they are intended for use with watercolor. Because sometimes you have an art supply that's accidentally water soluble, and then of course you can't blame it for leaving marks. But this is intended, so I have a feeling that quite separately these are quite good. I mean, if you would use it wet separately and then make marks with the crayon, those are both quite good, but that together, it's not the effect that I would expect. It's not as smooth a transition as I would expect from an art supply that specifically names itself a watercolor crayon. But still, we get vibrant colors and very easy to use applicators, because I don't know why they put them in plastic, but anyway, they're very easy to use, the applicators. So let's draw something. This month's Scrawler challenge is expressive expressions. some final thoughts. First of all, I'm actually more excited about the crayons now than I was when I swatched them, because by accident, really by accident, I find out I get some really nice effects out of them that I would have wanted to achieve with a wet brush, but I achieve them now by dipping the crayon into water and applying it directly on the page, which gives a much more vibrant, saturated color, which is what I wanted. So initial skepticism gone, and now I'm, well, I wouldn't say completely sold on them just yet, because I still think that they're overly packaged. I really don't see why all the plastic around the crayon is necessary, but I am very happy with the quality and the pigment they provide on the paper. And everything else worked really, really well. As expected, the 6B pencil was a little harsh to erase out of the paper, but I just incorporated into the drawing, and that seemed to work alrightish. I am not super excited about the kneaded eraser though. It feels a little tough and stiff, but I presume that's the cold in this room that I'm working in right now, because I forgot to put on the heater before I started working, so and it's an issue that some other kneaded erasers that I already own by different brands also have. When it's cold, they don't work as well. So I'm not going to blame the brand, I'm just going to blame myself for this one. But yeah, everything else was really, really nice. I mean, the paper is fantastic. I used to not prefer a smooth watercolor paper, but it worked quite well. The pencil was great, the brush was great, the crayons were a lot better, worked a lot better, a lot more versatile than I anticipated. So the only drawback, which I already mentioned in the beginning of this video, is that we didn't get a candy. But well, I'll just have to buy my own for this week. Sad. Anyway, I hope you liked this video. I hope to see you again next week. And bye!